I want to take a moment to introduce my friend and our keynote speaker, Dr. Karl Reid. Karl is a native of the Bronx and Long Island here in New York, and he's a graduate of MIT and Harvard, and has spent over the last 22 years being a leading advocate for increasing college access, opportunity, and success for low-income minority youth. And in 2014, he became the executive director of the National Society of Black Engineers, and better known as NSB, NSB rather. Sorry about that, NSB. And NSB has over 24,000 members, and is at most colleges and universities, and has a fabulous NSB Junior program that Code for Life is becoming a member of. And one of its key goals is to produce over 10,000 Black engineers annually by 2025. Karl is also one of the founding members of the 50K Coalition, which is a coalition of several different entities, and their goal is to produce 50,000 diverse engineering grads over the next several years. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce my friend, Dr. Karl Reid.
Chris, thank you. Thank you so very much for your generous invitation and introduction. It's an honor to be here, to be a part of this this celebration tonight, and the celebration of achievement. Our relationship with Chris goes back, I think, nearly 20 years in the Boston area, with you, with Young Life, and me with MIT, and some of the other work that I did in tech industry with IBM. So, and we share a passion to use our gifts and talents, as Anita so well introduced you, to enable others to leapfrog us. We want those that we have an opportunity to influence to do better than we are. We are. And we also use our platforms that we've been given, God-given, to speak for those who can't or won't speak for themselves. And it's interesting how we both stumbled on this intersection between opportunity and youth and technology, in my case, engineering. It's good to be reconnected, my good friend, Anita Farrington, as well. And Brandon, it is a pleasure to meet you. I hear so much about you. It's a pleasure to e-meet you. I hear so much about you as the core and the anchor, the cornerstone for Code for Life. Young people, we're here to celebrate you. You've discovered the old adage that the dictionary is the only place where success comes from work, before work. The dictionary is the only place where success comes before work. We're going to really celebrating your hard work. Chris talked about that you were introduced to this in March, and you've produced some great work, much more so than I have ever done. I'm going to say a quick word about NSB. We were founded in 1975 by students. We are still the largest student-governed professional association based in the United States. We were founded by 6 students from the South Side of Chicago who were attending Purdue University, who wanted to share the success that Purdue had in turning around what was an 80% dropout rate for Black engineering students in 1971 to a 60% graduation rate by 1975. And so they put out a call to other colleges and universities, and 40 students came from all over the country, from 34 colleges and universities, and what was the Society of Black Engineers became the National Society of Black Engineers. And as Chris says, today we are 25,000 members, over 600 chapters worldwide. Our mission is to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. And though our mission is the Black engineers and our name is Society of Black Engineers, our membership spans all the diaspora as well as multiple races and ethnicities. And Chris mentioned that 2025 goal to produce 10,000 Black engineers annually and work with colleges and universities. Since we announced that goal 5 years ago, we've seen a 45% increase in the number of Black engineers. So 1,500 additional Black engineers are going into the market every year since we announced our strategy in 2015. I'm going to talk about three topics, or ask you three questions, and really become the theme of my remarks. Why is Code for Life important, and why what you're doing today is important? Why is it important to you? Number two, why is it important now? And I think Anita began to foreshadow that remark about this. Why is this important now? And three, what should you do in this moment of unprecedented change? What should you do? So the first question is, why is this important? Good friend of mine and a NSBE alumnus, NSBE member, Gerald Harris, wrote a blog, and we posted it on my blog site, karlwreid.com. And he asked the question, or at least he started to answer the question, 5 reasons why Silicon Valley needs African Americans. And though the focus of the blog was about African Americans, the reasons really span all different races and ethnicities, Latino, Middle Eastern, etc. It speaks to the larger issues that are, and the opportunities that tech provides. And so what I'd like to do is share with you 2 of those reasons, given the time I have, and then offer a third reason. So why is this important now? First of all, for the market, for what we can produce, what you can produce, and who you can serve is ripe with opportunity. African American consumers spend more than $1.3 trillion annually. Latinos spend over $1.5 trillion, and both of those consumer markets are expected to grow hundreds of billions of dollars in the next 5 years. But despite that spending power, our spending is largely ignored by tech entrepreneurs. And so the opportunity to build tech solutions for consumers of color is an untapped market. And Hollywood has recently discovered that there may be a few technology companies like Uber and Twitter have begun to explore this, but there's a huge market that has yet to be tapped. And you think about FUBU, right? For us, by us, you could be the next FUBU in tech, bringing solutions to our communities and serving our communities better, and open up huge market opportunities. The second major reason is a reason I really love, and that is we bring enhanced creativity to new products and genres, right? You think about what we've done in the music industry. We've introduced hip hop, we've introduced jazz, we've introduced new music, even country rap, right? Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus brought up this whole new genre. Imagine what tech could do if they expanded their creative teams to include folks, young people who grew up in communities like ours, who look like us. You think about what would Apple look like if we were in the design room for the next generation of the Apple Watch. It might look like Wakanda beads and not like this, right? Think about the opportunities that we can create in the new products that we can create, because we bring a new flair to that. Diverse teams are the best teams that produce the best results. And the other reason why this is important today is the best ideas often come from someone who's outside of the field, right? Thomas Kuhn says, the people who achieve fundamental inventions of new paradigms have either been very young or very new to the field. And so young people bring fresh eyes to new problems and opportunities. And this is why you are uniquely qualified to take advantage of these opportunities. So that's why it's important. Now, why is it important now? I attended a workshop a few years ago, and we discovered that when there was a national or worldwide crisis, it always led to transformational changes in society, new federal policies and laws, new social order, and new technology as well. Think about all the things that have happened from World War II to the recent Great Recession. There's been always this new innovation that comes as a result. In this country and around the world, we're in the midst of several major crises right now. We're confronted by these crises of collisions. Think about this. The global pandemic which has disproportionately affected Black and brown lives. Many of us have seen the ravaging effects of this pandemic firsthand in our families, like I have. It's exposed healthcare and socioeconomic disparities once again. And then on May 25th, the death of George Floyd once again reminds us that for many people, Black lives don't really matter. That the behavior of the police toward Blacks and brown people was built on hundreds of years of structural racism that preserved the privilege of one race and subjugated all others. There's a financial crisis with 40 million people who lost their jobs since March, and a lack of leadership at the federal level. We are more divided as a country than we've been in recent history. So why now? Because we have an opportunity here and now. We have an opportunity. This is the moment for people training in science, technology, engineering, and math. In addition to the products that you're producing and the technology you're producing, you're learning a new way of thinking. Critical thinking, analytical reasoning, problem solving come from the kind of ways that you're engaging today. And we're in a seminal moment when hundreds of tech companies and associations and institutions of higher education have publicly pledged their support for racial justice, to work toward racial justice and Black Lives Matter, and to work to dismantle structural and institutional and systemic racism. Activists and community leaders and everyday people are putting their lives and reputations on the line to imagine a new world where they can fight these injustices and eliminate them and dismantle them. The solutions will require more than just protests. They will require creativity, strategy, and collective action to create this world. In short, it will require the minds of people trained like you are being trained in science and technology. The good news is that that's what you're doing, right? You're being trained to solve complex problems. You actually are comfortable with complexity. The Chinese have a word for crisis, which is Weijai, and it's composed of two characters. One component of Weijai is danger, and the other component is loosely translated as opportunity. So the word crisis in Chinese is actually danger and opportunity. So this brings me to the third and final point. What should you do with this moment of unprecedented change? Will you view this as danger and fear and trembling and cause to shrink back? Or will you view this as a critical juncture and opportunity to affect change? Your education and training, your lived experiences as people of color make you uniquely qualified to attack these issues head on, constructively, proactively, strategically. These are complex problems, as I said, but you are being trained as coders and engineers, future engineers, and computer scientists. By your nature and by your training, you're being trained to solve complex problems. And the tools you use today are different from the tools my generation are using. You're bringing something new and novel and creative to these problems. So the moment is now. You're bringing tools of technology. You're bringing your intelligence. You're bringing your newfound skills. You're bringing your unique cultural perspectives. And this is an unprecedented time of shifting perspectives when companies and individuals are listening. This has been a wake-up call for America, and they are waking up and prepared to listen to you. So what will you do with this moment? There are many, many dangers facing us, strong headwinds. Will you be taunted by the danger, or will you see this as an opportunity toward the challenge? Will you see this as an opportunity to make change, to bring your skills and your uniqueness and your diversity to solve complex problems going forward? This is your moment to decide. This is your critical juncture right now. And I encourage you to seize this moment. Carpe momentum, seize the moment. When danger meets opportunity, it's time for Code for Life, and it's time for you to lead us to the future. Thank you so very much. And I really appreciate the time, and I hope you got something out of this, because I'm inspired by you as well.